Hey friends, I'm very excited today. As I was mentioning it, I've been thinking about all week about this session, this talk with my buddies here. Essentially, we agreed to talk about 4 countries. Ivaylo will be talking about South Africa, the trips, although Ivaylo has been all over, I know, but we'll have Svend talking about Namibia as well, his experience, places, and also we have Kalin talking about Tanzania, who actually he just came from there. And I'm very excited to also share my experience I had with my buddies in Kenya. And by the way, in the middle, we'll ask a question or two just to find out more. We'll just get into, because we are very excited to know about this amazing places to photograph. So without further ado, why don't we have Ivaylo and start the conversation about South Africa?
Okay, guys, thanks. I will try to squeeze the most important information I got myself as experience in these 5 minutes. And then we can discuss for some, if you have some questions.
Okay.
First, I take wildlife photos using a 600mm camera lens. So I also have a 300mm, which is used by my girlfriend. So now I almost 100% use only the 600mm. And I also add to it 1.4 and 2.0 teleconverters if I need it. So South Africa, I've been 3 times there, and I'm planning another trip with few friends for this upcoming August. As I also have been to other African countries, I could say that organizing a trip there and paying a safari is a bit easier and a bit cheaper than the rest of the African countries. Maybe this is due to the that South Africa is quite much more developed than, let's say, Eastern Africa, where like a road system or social, everything. So Kruger National Park is actually very large park. It is situated north to south in the eastern part of South Africa. It's long about 350 kilometers. So visiting the park and going through it provides very good change of different habitats. So I've been twice there in August, which is the local winter, which means quite dry, and the weather is rather cool, about in mid-20s, I would say. And the south you go, starting from the north, it's more quite subtropical, and then going to the south, slowly it gets drier and cooler, and the habitat are changing. I have prepared a few slides with few photos, and they're going exactly 1.5 minutes. So I'm going to put them on while I'm talking. The camps in the park are quite large, quite very well developed with very good infrastructure. And majority of these camps, they have a lot of trees and vegetations inside them. And visiting the park during the dry season provides a fantastic opportunity to take photos even inside these camps, where you can lie down. This is the picture taken in the camp. You can lie down. You take.
We don't see it, Ivaylo. If you meant to share it with us, we don't see it.
Sorry.
No worries. Yeah.
Sorry.
It's no worry.
I have to share my
screen. Yeah.
Okay. Stop.
There should be a share button there. Yep.
Okay, now you see it?
Yes, sir. Yeah, South Africa and Kruger National Park. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
So these camps are fantastic for taking a lot of photos during your rest time. Actually, I have spent a whole day. I refused to go out for a certain day just to spend my time in the inside the camp, because there were so many birds and small animals inside the camp which are taking refuge and use the water there and the green foliage to feed. The interesting thing about Kruger is that also in the other parts of Africa, if you go there during the dry season, it's easier to photograph birds and animals. First, because the foliage is down. Majority of the forests there, they are deciduous and they lose their foliage during the dry season. And second, because there's a shortage of water, and all these birds and animals, they concentrate around water holes and different sources of water. So it's much more easier to take photos through the branches when there are no leaves and around the water holes. The other interesting thing for Kruger National Park is that it has very good road system. And the road system is, the main roads are asphalt, but there is a huge, quite a big system of dirt roads, which are of very good condition. So it's not a must to have a big Jeep in which you sit quite high and you don't take photos from the lower point. You always
POV, right.
You can use just a van, and because the van is lower and the side windows slide, you can take photos from much lower perspective, which is fantastic. Most of the roads there, they have a sign if a 4x4 vehicle is needed to go there. So it's easy to maneuver there. As I said, the park is very long, 350 kilometers almost, and it's wide about 90. So it's a huge paradise to spend days inside, to look for different habitat, different types of birds and animals from north to south. It is absolutely secure inside the park, which is very important for South Africa. So a photographer really feels like he's in the paradise. There are certain spots where you can go out of the vehicle, and then you can lie down, which is what we are always looking for, to be close to the eye view of the eye level of the object. I said that it's a bit cheaper. Yes, I would say even in some terms it's considerably cheaper to go on a safari in South Africa than in Kenya or Tanzania, simply because it's easier to organize it. Even if one wants, can arrive on their own, can book car, rent a big car, 4x4, even a van, even a normal car, and drive to Kruger and spend as many days as he has booked with the park authorities.
So for somebody, for example, who wants to stay there, let's say 7 days, assuming, what is the expected species number to return from a Kruger bar?
Well,
I mean, this is a question that came up in our,
Well, quite a lot, actually. I'm not a twitcher, but I like to take a record of what I have seen. And just the bird species were close to 200 for 9 days, 10 days.
Yeah.
That's just the bird species. Yeah. And the number of the other mammals, reptiles, and so on, just on top of that.
Yes.
For example, in 2019, we went there with my girlfriend, and we managed for 9 days to see 8 leopards, 8 or 9 leopards.
Wow.
So, and the top of it was that 3 of them were at the same time at the kill.
No way.
Yeah,
Okay.
a mother with a grown-up youngster and a very old male.
That's insane.
So
That's so cool.
yes, the very nice thing of Kruger is that quite a lot of the campsites there, they have a water hose just outside their fence. And even at night, there are lights. So excuse my dog, but he decided that he wants to play just now. Stop.
That's cool.
And you can observe animals not only during the day, but also during the night. You're sitting there and the elephants come to drink, or buffaloes or some other animals, and you can see them because there are lights. And you can even take photos. In these campsites, you can choose either to use the bungalows or the camping site where you can use a tent, your own or to rent one.
Mhm. Very good. Very good.
And okay, maybe
This
I'm
is
missing
good.
something.
Yeah, I mean, we can always comment before. I mean, later, some of our folks maybe may have a question or two. I'm hoping you, Ivaylo, will be open to answer your. You're very good with that. I appreciate it. Thank you for the description. It was awesome. I'm very interested now. But let's go to Svend, and let's hear a little bit about Namibia.
Yeah. Well, I've been in Namibia for 3 times. Actually, the first time we landed in Windhoek and drove south to Kagalagadi Transfrontier Park, which is a part of South Africa, the northern part of South Africa. But I'm not so interested in the animals.
Okay.
I'm a bird photographer. So after that, we have been 2 times north to Caprivi Streep, which is situated about 1,000 kilometers from Windhoek. And you have tarmac to drive on the whole way up. But when you go from that, you need a 4-wheel drive. I have been there with my girlfriend, and we rent a big Toyota Hilux 4-wheel drive for 4 persons. So she had the back seat and I had the front seat. So I can always place the car so the light is good. We land in Windhoek about midday, and you have to be in a camp before dark. You must not drive when it is dark in the rented cars. So we drive 300 kilometers to a little lodge, which is situated 18 kilometers of a dirt track with an overview of the Waterberg Massive, a real nice place, and really good hosts at the lodge. And we can sit in the garden, photograph sunbirds, and a lot of other small birds. And they gave us the permission to visit his childhood home, which is situated 2 kilometers from the lodge. And there was different birds, still small birds. We spent 3 overnight there. So we had 2 days full-time photography from the car or going around in the gardens.
Okay.
After that, we drive 700 kilometers north to a place called Divundu, and a lodge where we every morning took a boat trip on the river.
Oh, nice.
Very cheap, 4 persons, 150 Danish kroners, which is about 20 euros for 3 to 4 hours per person.
Wow.
And the guide is so skilled, so he can watch a little Malachi kingfisher on 100 meters distance. We live in a tent with a terrace out over the river. So we have free view over the river. And the garden at the lodge there's so many birds. We have got, I think, about 150 different birds on a trip, which were on 16 or 17 days.
Okay.
I never go for less than 16 or 14 days. That is my lowest. I love to nerd with the birds, so I use a lot of time at one species, if it is nice. Close to the lodges, we have lived in three lodges actually in Capri Stripe. We have been out east, which is with Botswana, Zimbabwe, Angola. The most east you can come in Capri Stripe, but it was not so very exciting. But the two other lodges, which is situated 1,000 kilometers from Windhoek, there are 3 different parks where you can self-drive, and you can see elephants, zebras, giraffes, yeah, you name it. A lot of antelopes, monkeys, and of course birds. But the best is the river boat trip on the river every morning. And that's cheap. Yeah, that's very good. And you live good, and it is not so expensive. We have you can rent a car with tent on the roof to make it cheaper. But then you have sometimes to make your own food. And the problem is to buy food. There is not many places you can do it. The country is as big as England and France together. And there are only 1.4 million people, and 800,000 of them live in Windhoek. So you don't meet so many people. I think we have been driving for 600 kilometers, only meeting 4 cars. So I love it because you can safely drive around. You don't need a guide unless you are on the river. But I don't want to sit in a tourist container with other photographers who only want to see the leopard or elephants or lions. I want to be my own boss. And that you can do safely in Namibia.
And I heard that the sceneries there are breathtaking. One of the interviews we had with Marcel, he showed some pictures of the place. It was like, the nature scenery was just breathtaking.
Yeah, but I think he had been out in the sand dunes west with the coast.
Okay.
I haven't been there, but I would like to for taking some landscape pictures.
Right.
But my biggest interest is birds. Sure. I have now about 1,000 different bird species in my library.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for the description. This is awesome. Also, I appreciate it. As I said about Ivaylo, hopefully, if folks have a question or two, maybe they can comment. No problem, and we'll just respond. Let's talk about Tanzania with Kalin.
Okay, this was my first time in Tanzania, actually. Okay. I haven't been there before. We chose the Selous National Park, which is now called Nyerere. It is quite big, like 30,000 square kilometers. And it has a lot of different habitats. It has a huge river, which we camped at. Our camp was in an island on the river. So every morning and every evening we had to take a boat to the park. But it was great because you see hippos, crocodiles, a lot of bird species like kingfishers or bee eaters. The bee eaters, they nest in the riverbank. To get to the park, you have two options. You can go driving, which is great. It takes quite a long, like 4.5 hours from Dar es Salaam. But still, it's great because you see the scenery and people that live there. And you have another options to take a plane and go straight to the park, which is, of course, more expensive. We took the road. We were 2 people in a Jeep. We had our driver, so we just had to enjoy the ride. We went to the park. We went to our island with our small camp. We were the only 2 people at the camp, and the staff that was serving the food and everything, which was also great because we had everything for ourselves. The park is not that visited like all the other parks, like the parks in the north of Tanzania, like Ngorongoro or Serengeti, which is great because all the time you're the only car on the road. You rarely see someone else, and you have all the views for yourself. You can exit the car at some places. We had our lunch stops wherever we wanted. We just choose a nice place and got some food. The park, as I told you, has several different habitats. So it has the river, it has 2 or 3 lakes, and then it has like a dense bush habitat with species that live there, like the bushbuck. It has plains with lots of acacia trees, something like the Serengeti or the Masai Mara that you have been at. And it has something in between the 2 of them. So you see a lot of species, you see them in different habitat, in different situations. They have, I think they have 4 of the big 5. They don't have rhinos there, but you can see elephant, you can see also leopard, lions, and the buffalo. Actually, we didn't see the leopard only from these guys.
Mm-hmm.
And we went there at the wet season. It was quite green. It was very beautiful. All the plants were blooming, and compared to the winter picture that we have here in Bulgaria now, it was a wonderful experience. Most of the birds were in their breeding season, so they were with breeding plumage. I wanted to see the bee eaters in their colonies, but unfortunately, their breeding season is in the opposite time. They are there when the river is low, when it's dry, so they have these steep banks just for themselves. No water, no danger of getting drowned. But this thing that we had a lot of leaves, it made it quite harder to see animals because they're in the bush, they hide. But it was still exciting because you had this like a hunt, you know, you just look for something, and when you discover it, you see it in its natural habitat. How well we saw a lot of giraffe, and they were so well camouflaged there because you see a dense vegetation, and someone in the car says, "Look, there is a giraffe," and the other 2 of us were. Sometimes we had a hard time to find where the animal is, but you know, it's a huge animal, and this was kind of exciting and interesting to see and observe. Something else there, because of the reason that there are no many cars, no many tourists, some of the animals are quite shy. When you stop by them with the car, they just turn their back and go away. Some of them run away. But if you're quiet, they start to get accustomed, and they approach, or they just do their stuff and allow you to take pictures. And you have a lot of different options then, because you're the only car, so you can choose where to go, how to move, respectful with the animal and the light and everything, and that makes it easier for taking pictures. And of course, the thing that you are alone there is quite nice. You just sit and observe and enjoy it. We had a lot of hippos because of the water. We even had one out late one evening, so we managed to take some pictures of it grazing. what else? A lot of carmine beaters. They're very nice and interesting because when you go, especially to this Bejo Bejo area of the park, which is like a small savanna, you drive with the car and they just fly around you because the car just pushes some insects out of the grass and they hunt for the insects. So it's very beautiful just to drive slowly and to watch the birds flying around you. This was amazing. They have a lot of wildebeest, zebra as well, a lot of kudu, which were really, really beautiful. The one with the twisted horns, I don't know if you've seen them in the Mara. So what else? I'm thinking of going back there, and I was wondering if I should go in the dry season again, or I should choose again in the wet season again, or I should choose the dry season. And I really prefer the wet season. Yes, it's harder to see the animals, but it's very, very beautiful. It's not dry, it's warm. There are no a lot of, actually we didn't see any mosquitoes because of the river. The river makes it cooler than the other areas. So that's what the guides explain us. There are no mosquitoes there, and we didn't use any repellents or something. So it was really nice and just enjoyed it.
That's very nice. That's so good. And it was like in our trip when we were in Kenya, it was mentioned that in Tanzania also it's really cool. So it's so nice to hear your perspective, Kalin.
I think that's pretty much it. It's not an expensive destination. It's relatively cheap to the other parks. It's certainly cheaper than Serengeti. You don't see many people. It's like you have the whole park for yourselves. But meanwhile, the guides in the cars, they're communicating between themselves, and if there is something interesting somewhere, they call and we go. We once were stuck in the mud because of me trying to take picture of beaters, and we had someone to push us. So they called another car, and the car came and just pushed us out of the mud. So you always have someone around, but you are alone. There's no one around you to spoil the view or something like this.
Very cool. Very cool. And Ivo, you wanted to share something, I think?
I was going to say that for your trip in Kenya, it was cool because you were spending your time in the high part of Kenya, in Masai Mara and around Lake Nakuru. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be talking about that. Hey.
So the elevation there is quite high. So the weather is really, really nice. You're not bothered by the weather, by the heat. But and we started like that in January, and slowly we started going down to the sea level at the ocean side, where the temperature was above 33, 35, with the humidity quite substantial. It was completely different from the rest of the parts of Kenya.
Yeah, it's so cool, and I wanted to start with that. Actually, that's something that it really impressed me. That the guy told us, Ones, he told us that, hey, it doesn't go lower than 15. It doesn't go higher than 30 as far as the climate, the temperature. I thought that was quite nice, but yeah, I'll try to dedicate a minute for a place that we were essentially 5 places: Masai Mara, Lake Elementata, Lake Nakuru, Lake Naivasha, and Nairobi State Park. Very exciting. I mean, on 19th we arrived there. By the way, I found out that I enjoy photographing in group. Maybe I'm just a rookie at this. First time there, the group. Why? Because you get to share the experience right there and then. Something about that to me clicks. While I do respect and appreciate also the individuality, no noise, get what you want, nobody's bothering you. Absolutely, I can see that. But basically, it started with Masai Mara. We were, as soon as we arrived, got very lucky. We saw a hunt, cheetah hunting a Tamas gazelle. Man, that was, I mean, you can understand the first time there, that's the first thing you see. The adrenaline was just so high with everyone. Like it came to the point that nobody was talking at one point. Complete silence, just the cameras. You could only hear the shutter, nothing else. Very exciting. The cheetah was unsuccessful, but it was so close, and it was like the very first thing we saw. It was amazing. Something that amazed us also was the fact, the harmony between Masai Mara people living there, the village, and the wildlife. We were just thinking, I mean, there were a lot of cows, right? Lots of them. And we were thinking, how do they, I mean, you just drive 2 minutes and then you see a cheetah or a lion. I mean, you would think that's so close, but they have that harmony, I guess. And we learned about the government actually compensating you if a lion eats a cow. That was interesting to know about the place. So for 3 days, we photographed there. We saw all the cool stuff. We were amazed how, because this was the first time, wildlife would come by the car so close. I mean, you could, in Balkans, in Albania, when I photographed a lot, it's hard to even get closer to the birds. Forget about, so you get this great opportunity to photograph wild animals, mammals, like coming right there. They're not bothered at all. It's like you're not even there. So that experience is very unique. So we photographed for 3 days. Of course, the first 2 days we were shooting like crazy, insane, totally.
I know this experience very well.
You know how it is.
I remember the first time my memory cards were not enough.
That's it. Yes, it just got really. And then
the last time I could not fill up them all, because I'm started being a bit more selective.
That's it. Yes, so you right, exactly. On the third day, I think we started to get wiser with shooting. We started to be more selective, as you said. But and then we went to Lake Alimentara, a very cool, serene place. We were very impressed by the mountains, by the silhouette, the fallen soldier, I think they called it. It was very impressive because it kind of told the story, depict the story of the hardship of Kenyan people, the slavery and all of it. It was really like one of the guys explained to us, and it was really emotional. We got to photograph there. The next day we went to Lake Nakuru, which was, I don't know, I love that place. I mean, I don't know, it was just amazing. What was fantastic about that day was that a lioness, I guess, just had her fill, had hunt, and it was just chilling there. The only bad part, I guess, with the lioness was that it was about, I don't know, like 10 o'clock. So the sun was slightly strong, but everything else was perfect. And then somehow the clouds, we were lucky that it was cloudy day later on, because we could photograph pelicans and flamingo, which it's hard to photograph them well when you have a lot of sun, but we didn't later on, which was very good. So Lake Nakuru really hit all 5 stars, I guess, from the experience. That lion there, forget it. Of course, we saw so many other things there, the fish eagle, the African fish eagle was all over the place, which the next day in Lake Naivasha, we were able to sail and photograph it, where the guy would, And by the way, that boat, I think, was very expensive, as we heard, they paid like $500 per small boat, 6 people. I mean, actually, I'm sorry, 2 boats, $500. And so that was a little bit steep, I think. It was mentioned by Lorenzo, you guys know, which, by the way, is a very good mentor, very professional. You feel very safe with him. It was very nice to have him guide and share tips and everything. But the experience still, nevertheless, was great. It was a little bit sunny. I wish we could have gone early morning. We were there like at around maybe 11:30, which the sun really was strong. And then, but we still, I think we managed to still capture it. And then, you know, you'll get the eagle 10 meters from the boat. I mean, taking the fish, that's amazing. And then the last day was Nairobi State Park, another very nice place. We got in, we photographed so many things, vultures. We went to a place where we have vultures nests and different places. I don't know, there are so many details, obviously, but those 5 places were amazing enough to really make us consider going back. And I'll tell you one thing to end my part of this talk, my side, where I heard a lot about folks saying, before I went there, saying that folks, once they go to Africa, they want to go back. And I'm thinking, why is this keep happening? And I understand with Ivo, with Kalin, that you've been definitely time. So I'm thinking, you know, these are folks that I know and I've been talking, and like, there must be something. And then when you go there, I think it's just so hard to put the word per se, the precise word. But something that struck me was that while you have the poverty of the folks living in cities, as you drive through, you see it, it contrasts and with the richness of the nature. And it's very, it hits you in a very unique way. You know, you feel it's a bittersweet moment. But and then you go to these amazing parks and you are confronted with such an amazing experience. And I told the guys, to me, this has been a completely unplugged experience. There is nothing like it that you could do. I mean, I've been in some places in Europe, Italy, Spain, Bulgaria. We photographed the eagle. And by the way, I love to come to Bulgaria for us to do something. I mean, you know, I really do, for a number of reasons. Also for the fact that it's an incredible country to go and visit, and the people. I'm very, very close due to the, I've been more than 10 times there. I'm very happy and proud, I mean, proud, honored to have so many friends from there. I mean, the warmth you guys have, the fun that I found there, it's really, I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
I really
anytime.
Yeah, it's good. And we definitely, and we definitely would like to come to Denmark, Svend, one day.
Yeah, you're welcome.
For sure, yeah, definitely. So, by the way, I mean, we can go on. Obviously, you can see the energy, and I felt that with all of you saying, and we can go on and on. But for this time, we maybe end at this point. Hopefully, we like to have these talks of different places around the world where we can find out more, learn more, engage. And like I said, to me, photographing in groups, building community engagement, personally, it adds purpose to my hobby. So it was about photography only. For some reason, I am at the stage of my experience with my hobby where community, doing things together, it's just that much fun for me. So I appreciate you folks being part of this. And for any question anybody can would love to answer, I mean to ask, please do. Well, our guys will absolutely be open to answer. Have a nice day. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.